Since 1906, the Carl H. Lindner College of Business has placed students at the forefront of the business world by offering rigorous academics and harnessing the power of Greater Cincinnati's vibrant business community. My name is Grant Freaking, Manager of College Communications and Marketing at Lindner. Today, we'll find out if my opening statement matches the reality experienced by a pair of third-year Lindner students. Annabella Black and Leanna Gabrelsic, welcome to Bearcats Mean Business.
Thank you so much for having us. I cannot wait to share a bit about my experience here at Lindner so far.
Yeah, thanks. I'm really excited to be here today.
All right, let's begin with some introductions. Can each of you share a little bit about where you're from, how you ended up at Lindner, and what you're studying?
Yeah, sure. So this is Leanna, and I am from Beloit, Ohio, which is a really small village in northeast Ohio. It's about 4 hours northeast from UC. And I'm currently studying business law and ethics certificate. I am getting a degree in econ and in finance. And I actually ended up at Lindner because of Lindner Ambassadors, which is a really great organization we have at Lindner that Annabella and I are both a part of.
Awesome.
I saw a current ambassador on Instagram, actually,
okay.
That really piqued my interest in Lindner.
Awesome. A couple episodes ago, I talked to someone who found a co-op on TikTok, so good to know the social media stuff's working. How about you, Annabella?
Yeah, so I'm Annabella Black. I'm a third year, and I'm from Cincinnati, born and raised here and everything. So it's great to be back in Cincinnati and at Lindner. I was actually a transfer, so I'll touch more on that here in a minute. But I'm so happy I ended up here at Lindner eventually and after trying to find my way and everything.
Yeah. And
I'm studying finance with a certificate in business law as well, so kind of similar academic paths for us.
Awesome. Now, Annabelle, as you mentioned, you're a transfer student. That's not something I think you might be the first one we've had on the podcast. I'm interested in hearing a bit more about your story. Why did you decide to transfer to Lindner UC, and what was that process like for you?
Yeah, for sure. So I spent the entirety of my freshman year at a college town university. So I would always say it's kind of like a night and day shift in experience for me. A college town's a little more slow paced, and I realized that just wasn't for me after experiencing it for a few months. So I wanted to still give it my best shot and everything. So I stayed there for my whole freshman year, gave it a shot, tried to get involved in as much as I could just to make an impact on that experience. After, trial and error, I still realized that place just was not for me. And I was like, I still need that busy urban environment. And I was like, okay, I'm going to come back to Cincinnati, come back home and everything. And it's been a world of a difference for sure. It's definitely a hard choice to make to actually decide to transfer, because it's a big decision and everything, and kind of admitting that, okay, maybe I picked the wrong college and everything at the first place, but I can always change my environment and everything.
Yep.
So after talking with my family, my friends, my parents, friends, and everything, any trusted person in my life, I was like, hey, it's time to come back to Cincinnati. Yeah, so it was a big decision, lots of self-reflection and everything, but I'm so happy that I did. I've had an amazing experience, just a complete shift in my personality and my experience here. So it definitely was a learning process, but it worked out completely in my favor.
Awesome. Well, we're glad to hear it. Leanna, what do you remember about your college selection process? How did that work out for you?
My college selection process was not exactly the traditional way that most students go about. So all of high school, I thought that I wanted to go to Ohio State University.
Okay.
I had fallen in love with the band as an 8th grader, and I just thought that was the place for me, and that was my goal. But, then application season comes, and I, of course, apply to Ohio State. I applied to a few other universities, but still know that that's where I want to go. But once the college selection process comes, you get your answers and you actually have to choose. I spent a little bit more time at Ohio State and realized it was not the place for me. It's still a great school, but it's not the school for me. So I started to panic a little bit because that was always the plan.
Sure, yeah.
But so I had talked to, again, just as Annabella did, I talked to my loved ones, and everyone really just said, maybe you'll go to a community college and then you'll transfer somewhere else. Because, again, I hadn't applied for that many universities.
Okay.
However, I had thankfully applied to UC because a friend of mine mentioned on free application day the University of Cincinnati. And I applied, and I never really looked at it again. However, as I said, I saw an ambassador on Instagram, and her name is Anna Lou. She's great. She's still here. She's a 4th year. And she was just talking about the living learning communities in Lindner and how communal it is. And it was just everything she ever dreamed of. And she was only a 1st year. And so I decided to really look into UC. And I'm so grateful I did, because obviously I'm here today. I fell in love with the university I visited, and I committed that day. So yeah, the college selection process was definitely not normal for me.
Yeah.
But here I am, and I'm couldn't be happier that I ended up here.
Well, we're glad you're here. That's crazy. That there's an Instagram takeover. I'm guessing what you're referring to. That wow.
Yeah.
We get to keep doing those. Those appear to be working.
Yeah, definitely.
To pitch that back to my office. I know we've got a lot lined up, but we got to keep them coming here. Lena, what recommendations or tips would you give to prospective students and their parents or guardians that are stressing out about filling out applications and trying to rank college choices?
My best advice would definitely be flexible and open-minded.
Yeah.
Even though I thought that my plan was set, if I hadn't been open-minded, I wouldn't have ended up here. And again, I'm very pleased with my decision.
Mm-hmm.
So I know that it seems terrifying and overwhelming, and it is. And your decision matters, but same with Annabella, she didn't feel like she made the right decision, and so she transferred because she was open-minded to that. So I think that students need to know this is a big decision, but also don't feel like your destiny is set. You can always change your mind.
Right. That's good advice. Annabelle?
Yeah, so, backing up what she just said, I would say it's a bunch of self-reflection, being open to everything, and just being true to your personality as well. For me, like I said, that college town environment, the slow-paced experience that it brought just wasn't for me, and I had to figure that out on my own. So I think just being honest with yourself. So if you like a busier environment, maybe like an urban campus like UC would fit best for you, because it definitely worked well for me.
Sure.
And I also just think that, yes, this is such a big decision, but the college that you pick in high school is not where you might end up, and that's totally okay. So just being open and flexible, like she just said, is just such a big deal and so important in making those decisions and everything. So I think we just have some similar advice for people who are listening, just with some different experiences.
Yeah, it's okay if your first choice or first inclination is wrong. You can always go back and change it, transfer in, as you mentioned. Now, both of you are very involved with activities and organizations at Lindner and UC. Annabella, can you please share how you determined which activities and organizations were the best fit for you?
Yeah, for sure. So, my freshman experience wasn't what I was, initially hoping for and everything. So I came to UC and Lindner as like, okay, I'm going to get involved in anything I'm interested in. And that's why I love Lindner and just being here, because it's just so flexible. My schedule can be so open, where I can work, where I can do the classes I want to take, and then also partake in different organizations. It was all very strategically chosen, and that's given me the greatest skills ever. So I started off in Greek life from the beginning, so I wanted to have that social foundation, and I'm so glad that I chose to do that even before classes started. So it gave me some friends and some faces on campus that I knew right from the beginning. And then joined Lindner Ambassadors, so the organization where I can present in front of prospective families and their students and just tell them all about the amazing things that Lindner has to offer. So the presentation skills, working with others, and just, being concise and well-spoken and everything are great skills. And then I'm in Queen City Consulting. So it's our consulting organization here in Lindner. And I've really fallen in love with the consulting-based problems and that kind of framework. So it's taught me to carry that ideals forward into job opportunities that I'm looking for. And then I'm loving how I'm able to work and everything. I've had a part-time job since I've been here, so balancing that with school and any other organizations. So it's been a lot to balance. However, because of that, my time management skills have 100% developed into, just a great asset for me that I'm able to leverage in anything I want to be involved in. So I cannot speak more highly of all these opportunities that this organization in school gives me. And I think it's just going to set me up for so much success in the future.
I would agree. How about you, Leanna?
Yeah, so choosing the best organizations is definitely a process. I knew from day one I wanted to be in Lindner Ambassadors, considering the profound impact it had on me. But some of my other organizations has been kind of a process to decide which ones I fit best in. The beautiful thing about pretty much any campus organization is you can always test drive it. You can usually go to one meeting,
right,
or maybe even two before really joining. And so currently I'm involved in Economic Society, of course, Lindner Ambassadors, Scholars of Finance, and UC Thrift. And I've become really involved with our Economic Society, but that wasn't until really the end of last year, my second year, that I became involved. I had the opportunity to go on a DC trip with the Economic Society. It was about 5 days. It was fully funded by Lindner. And that was an awesome opportunity. And so, yeah, I just test drove a lot of different organizations until I found the ones that really aligned with what I was looking for.
Awesome. So how do you, the two of you building off this, balance your day-to-day life with your studies, involvement, and any other interest or obligations that you may have?
Yeah, I always say that Google Calendar is my best friend.
Yeah.
I put every minute of my day on the Google Calendar. You find as you get older, you have to schedule hanging out with your friends more formally than you might have had to in the past.
Very true.
Lindner Starbucks has definitely also become a huge asset of my life. You know, we grab coffee in between classes and, again, of course, put it on the Google Calendar. So a big thing is just, keeping track of everything and communicating with everybody and planning.
Awesome.
Yeah, so Google Calendar is also one of my best friends too. It's so helpful just making sure I can actually see every involvement that I have, so I'm not double booking. I'm giving myself enough time to dedicate towards each organization or involvement that I'm a part of. I also remind myself, like, when my calendar gets extra busy, when things pop up here and there, that everything I am a part of is because I genuinely want to be a part of it. There's not an organization that I just don't want to be a part of because I learn the skills, I enjoy the people that I'm around and everything. So yes, it's a busy schedule, but it pays off because I'm learning so much, and just, having that as a reminder of I'm genuinely enjoying what I'm doing. So I'm okay with having that, packed schedule and everything.
Sure. Did either of you feel like you maybe overextended yourselves in the past by signing up for maybe too much stuff and had to trim down to sort of fit enough into those Google calendars of yours?
Yeah, I can definitely relate to that. I would say last semester, in the spring, I was doing full load of classes. I was doing all my organizations, and I was also working 2 part-time jobs, all between the hours of 8 and 5.
Wow.
During the weekdays. So I wanted to do all of it and everything. That's why I was telling myself, because I was getting the experiences. It was a job at a law firm and a job at a finance organization. So lots of balance and everything. However, I made it work for that semester, but afterwards I did a little self-reflection and I was like, okay, Annabella, you're not really enjoying, racing back and forth and having to always be in your car and traveling to all these different commitments. So I definitely was like, okay, I'm going to dial it back the next 2 years I have left in college. And I definitely did this semester while still being, heavily involved. So I think it's just that self-reflection, trial and error, and just seeing what works best for me. And I didn't learn that until actually experiencing it.
Yeah, I've unfortunately had a similar experience where, you're so ambitious and there's so many awesome opportunities in Lindner and just at UC in general, and you want to try them all. But, you really learn how valuable your time is. So it's great to test drive them, but you eventually learn you can't overextend yourself. You can't pour from an empty cup. And so you just have to, again, pick the ones that really align with your goals and your values.
Pouring from an empty cup, it's a good way of putting it. Now, as both of you know, Linder's mission is to empower business problem solvers. I'm interested to know if the experiences both of you have had inside and outside the classroom have prepared you for your careers, which are not imminent, but are coming up, next year or two.
Yeah, so our curriculum here at Lindner is very comprehensive. We do so many real-world application-based projects where sometimes we work with a company in Cincinnati and we'll conduct like a SWOT analysis on those companies. In our economic stock market class, we do a mock investment experience. So you're trading on the stock market and reflecting what actually is happening in the market. And with that, I've done our experiential learning or co-op program. And so a lot of those skills that I've learned in the classroom have then transferred into that experiential learning. And again, that experiential learning is a part of getting my degree throughout, and it's an essential part of being in Lindner.
Of course.
And so that obviously is helping me build my career in the long run. Those skills have become really transferable. When I go back to class after completing a co-op, I know a lot of the terminology that I'm learning in class already. And so it just, they go back and forth. It's really very beneficial.
Yeah, so I'll talk a bit more on that too. So all these lower core classes and the required classes that all the business students take like their business analytics, their first finance class, their marketing class. I think all of these just create well-rounded students with a great foundation of business knowledge. And I feel like especially being, a first year or a second year, you might not know what you want to go into right away. So having those classes that are going to then set you up for a foundation in your first internship, your first co-op and everything is just so helpful and such a great experience and everything. So I think in the classroom, I think having that foundational knowledge has been such an asset for me. And then any organizations I'm a part of, I'll particularly call out Queen City Consulting. I've looked at multiple organizations and companies that we've worked with and partnered with for our projects. And I've learned to look at market research, competitor analysis, risk, and, financial plans. So I'm practicing what I'm learning in the classroom at a, foundational and overall level. It's just been a great experience to kind of apply those consulting-based questions and that critical thinking then back into the classroom or even outside the classroom in other experiences and internships.
Awesome. Thinking back to my days as a student, I still remember the instructors who left a mark on my education for all the right reasons. Do the two of you think you'll feel similarly about any instructors you have here at Lindner?
I'm very confident that I'm going to feel that way about instructors we've had at Lindner. So I have to say last year was a pretty tough year for me. I had a lot of family issues. My mother had been diagnosed with cancer, and I was just really struggling to find my priorities, right? Being from 4 hours north, I wanted to be home and take care of my mother, but I'm a full-time student. And I had some instructors notice that I wasn't really being myself and notice that I was struggling to turn in assignments, and they reached out to me. So some notable instructors are Richard Curry, Anita Ingram, Chauncey Joyce, and so many other. I can never list them all. But they provided such a great support system for me, and I know that I'm going to remember their names for a long time. They took good care of me.
Thank you for sharing.
Yeah, for sure. I feel like all the professors want to be here and teach. I found so much passion within the faculty who are here at Lindner. I had my business law professor, Jeff Rubel, and he just loved talking about business law, and that was kind of a first year class that I was taking right when I got here to Lindner. His passion for all the cases, he was just so engaging and everything. So having him, if I have got questions and for law school and everything, I know I'll definitely be able to go back and say, hey, I know I wasn't there, going to your office hours. However, you made an impact on me, and I know that you're going to be an asset if I ever have those sorts of questions. It's a reminder that these professors are always there for you, no matter where you are in your college career and experience and everything. So with that being said, if you're a current student or going to be a future student here, don't be afraid to go and talk to those professors whenever the time is right for you. You might not have the questions in class for your assignments or for your exams, but a lot of them come out with so much experience, like in the business field, like hands-on, and they come back and teach that it's just going to be amazing being able to have them, in your corner when it comes time for that.
Right. Yeah. They're always happy to share their personal and professional expertise with students, and that their professional expertise may even go beyond academic. And maybe, as you mentioned, Annabella, working for a Fortune 500 company in the area or some other sort of venture field that you may not know about. Let's close with some top tips for students thinking about attending Lindner and UC as well as current students.
I would highly recommend that students don't be afraid to take advantage of the opportunities at Lindner. And a huge aspect of that is being willing to take advantage of new opportunities beyond your first year. I think a lot of people get stuck. They feel that if they didn't take advantage of something their first year, it's too late to join. They see their peers going ahead. But it's really important to remember that comparison can be the thief of joy, and you don't want to focus on that. Again, I joined Economic Society at the end of my second year, and now I'm incredibly involved. And I was a little intimidated at first because I felt like maybe it was too late for me, but it wasn't. So I think that it's important to remember that not everyone's story is the same, and it's never too late to start again.
Right. Go at your own pace.
Yeah, for sure. And then touching on that, I feel like I'm surrounded by so many high achieving individuals that it's amazing because I'm constantly inspired by everything that they're doing. However, just always keeping in mind that each path that you're taking and each path that you're around is going to be so different from each person. Just I think just keeping that in mind, as Lena just said as well, and also just being comfortable with, you know, being told no sometimes, and knowing that maybe you're going to be told no, but just give yourself a shot. You don't know like what's going to happen if you're going to be applying to an organization or to a job that you think you might not 100% qualify for. Give yourself a chance and give yourself a shot. You never know what's going to happen. Be comfortable with no, but also, you know, take advantage of all these opportunities. And just give yourself a shot, give yourself a chance and everything.
Great. My thanks to Annabella and Leanna for stopping by the Lindner podcast studio today. Are you interested in becoming a business problem solver? Look us up at business.uc.edu. Please subscribe, rate, and review Bearcats Mean Business wherever you listen to your podcasts. Thanks for tuning in. Go Bearcats.